Nets fans are holding their breath after Kevin Durant suffered a knee sprain on this play earlier this evening. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. The official word is Durant has a knee sprain and is scheduled to get an MRI. Looking at the play here, initially people were saying that Durant looked to have sustained a hyperextension, which is whenever the knee basically straightens further than it's supposed to. Now, on this play here, as Bruce Brown dives into him, it's the right arm that we see of Brown that basically collides just above the knee of Durant right there. And certainly in this position, it looks like the knee is hyperextended backwards a little bit. If you imagine drawing a line straight down from the femur, I could certainly see where people would look at this and think he had a hyperextension. But if we look at a different angle, it actually looks like it's more of a valgus load onto Durant's knee, which explains a different set of possibilities. On this back angle, remember we're looking at Durant's left knee, and here as Brown comes into him, you can see that actually there is more of a valgus directed force where Durant's knee is kind of falling inward. So here, instead of it just being hyperextended directly straight forward to back, you can see how the knee is basically moved inwards this way. Whenever the knee moves inward, we call that valgus. When it goes outward, we call it varus. In this position, you end up loading all the structures here on the inside of the knee as they stretch when the knee comes inward, in addition to possibly injuring some of the structures deeper inside. One final clue for the possible injury Durant suffered, we can see here how he tends to be grabbing more on the inside of that left knee. Next, we'll talk about what I'm most concerned about for Durant and take a look at the anatomy, but first I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video. Today's video is sponsored by AndCollar, a performance menswear company that I'm absolutely thrilled to be partnering with again. When AndCollar first approached me almost a year ago, I'll admit I was pretty skeptical about everything they claimed their products could do. A dress shirt that's not only lightweight, stain resistant, wrinkle resistant, but also made from recycled plastic just seemed too good to be true. But I've now been wearing their shirts exclusively for the past year and can tell you they are absolutely out of this world. Pretty much every time you all see me, I'm wearing one of AndCollar's shirts. The material is lightweight, breathable, and reminds me of wearing athletic wear. The material really is stain repellent, and after a simple machine wash, I can just hang them up to dry and not have to worry about wrinkles. And perhaps the best part is they're sustainably made, with each shirt using the equivalent of around 15 recycled plastic bottles. In addition to their dress shirts, they also have pants, ties, shoes, and even socks. Click the link in the description below and use code Brian10 to get 10% off your first purchase. Look great and feel comfortable while doing so, and support this channel while you're at it by using the link below and code Brian10 to get 10% off your first purchase. Thank you again to AndCollar for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to our learning. Looking at our biodigital anatomy tool here, we're looking at a left knee from straight on, so kind of front to back. So here on the inside of the knee, I've highlighted the MCL, the medial, meaning inside, collateral ligament, runs from north to south on the inside of the knee. If you remember back that mechanism for Durant, his knee basically had this force where it went inward in this direction. So if you bend the knee inward, you're going to put tension on this inner part of the knee and potentially sprain that MCL. This would be similar to the mechanism we saw with Anthony Davis's injury, where another player kind of fell into that outside portion of his knee, giving that valgus load where the knee kind of bent inwards. Of course, Davis, as we know, had an MCL sprain. So knowing now that the MCL is going to sit here on the inside of Durant's left knee, let's run through these views again. So at the time point where the majority of Brown's elbow has made contact with Durant's knee, we see it go back looking like it's hyperextended. But if we switch to the other view, let's look and see how much valgus load there is as well. Probably right about here at kind of this point, and now we can actually appreciate that inward movement of Durant's knee. Again, remember in this position, that MCL is sitting right here on the inside of the knee. So as it moves in, it's going to stretch that MCL. Certainly there's other things on the differential here. If there's enough of a load coming into the knee from the side, you can always have a risk of an ACL tear. And so that's always part of the evaluation with the physical exam. Your hamstring tendons on the inside of the knee actually come down to insert on that, what we call posterior medial corner as well. And so there's potential for injury to those structures, but I would put an MCL sprain highest on the list based on the mechanism. If that is in fact what Durant has, the good news is these rarely require surgery. Typically when the MCL gets torn, it's going to tear more up at this higher proximal end, closer up on the femur. If the tear occurs down lower at its insertion on the tibia, there's less blood supply, and so those have poorer healing prognosis. And sometimes if it's a grade 3, meaning a complete tear, we'll talk about doing a surgery, but the majority of MCL sprains, you don't need surgery for. A grade 1 tear where there's just some mild spraining and stretching, usually you're talking on the order of weeks. When you get to a grade 2 where there's actually partial tearing, that's when you get up to sometimes around that 1 month mark, if not longer. And then of course, when you have a grade 3 full complete tear, even more than a month. So we'll await the final word on Durant's knee MRI. Remember, just because we see a specific mechanism, we always have to keep other things in the differential. So hopefully he's avoided something major here, but I would probably put an MCL sprain highest on the list based on more of that valgus load from just a pure hyperextension. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.